Hey fitness friends, Coach Andres here with the Strength Cave. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about the 3 best ways to implement intermittent fasting into your life. So intermittent fasting has become one of the most popular dieting strategies out there these days, with lots of celebrities and fitness influencers promoting it. And honestly, they have good reason, because it does seem to help people stick to their diet and look and feel better. For instance, shortening your eating window is just going to naturally lead to eating fewer meals throughout the day. Fewer meals and less snacking leads to less caloric intake, which helps people to lose weight. But it'll also improve your brain function, your blood sugar regulation, and your inflammation, all of which are going to help you feel better. And all of those health benefits have been shown in the research to occur with prolonged intermittent fasting. And another good thing about intermittent fasting is that it's pretty flexible. There are a lot of different ways to do it, which naturally begs the question, what is the best way to implement intermittent fasting? Before I forget, make sure that you're subscribed to me on YouTube and that you're following me on Instagram. And go ahead and send me your DMs on Instagram, that way I know what kind of topics you want me to cover in these videos. So the way I see it, there are 3 main methods you can use when implementing fasting in your life. The first way would be the quote-unquote traditional method, which is the most popular way that people use intermittent fasting these days. With this method, you give yourself an eating window each day in which all of your meals and all of your food is consumed. Outside of that window, you don't eat any food, but you still allow yourself to drink fluids, take supplements, medications, and things like that. Most of the time, people will express their eating to fasting windows as a ratio. And the most common ratio that you see out there would be a 16:8 ratio. You would fast for 16 hours of the day and then give yourself an 8-hour window in which you could eat your meals. But like I said before, this is pretty flexible. You can go with a more evenly spaced ratio, such as 14:10 or 12:12, or I've seen some people get a lot more extreme with their ratio and do more of a 20:4 or even a 22:2 ratio. But to me, this really comes down to personal preference and what you can stick to in the long run. And I know that you're probably thinking that 16 hours of not eating seems really long, but the majority of that time is actually spent sleeping. So if you stop eating, say, 3 hours before bed and then spend 8 hours sleeping, you really only have to delay your first meal by 5 hours to reach that 16 hours of fasting. A lot of people will also time their workout so that way they can consume their first meal right after they finish working out. And doing that will also help to make the time go faster so that you really don't feel that much discomfort from fasting those 16 hours. Now, the second method that you could use to implement some fasting into your life would be to use a full day of fasting at least one time throughout the week. Just like it sounds, most days of the week you're just going to eat normally, and then at least once a week you're just going to completely abstain from eating any calories at all. Just like with the traditional intermittent fasting method, you can still drink fluids, have your coffee, chew gum, etc., and you may even still be able to have some amino acids if absolutely necessary on your fasting day. You might enjoy this method better if you find it easier to just completely avoid eating altogether rather than restricting yourself to an eating window. Also, if you're somebody who likes to work out first thing in the morning, it can be really hard to get used to training without having any food before or after the workout. With this full day of fasting method, you can still fuel all of your workouts throughout the week and then choose one of your rest days as your fasting day. That way you get all the same benefits of intermittent fasting and still can train hard. And the third method that you could use to implement fasting into your life would be to use a multiple day fast on regular intervals, say once a month. For example, you could start each month with a 3-day fast and then go the rest of the days and weeks of the month eating normally. Now this gets a little bit further into the prolonged fasting category of things, but I still like to include it as a strategy for intermittent fasting because you are still doing it on regular intervals. I do want to note that it may not be as effective a strategy for weight loss given the longer periods of time between fasts. It can be really easy to make up all of those calories that you don't consume during your multiple day fast over the 3.5 weeks before you do the next one. But a lot of people who do implement these multiple day fasts do so for health purposes rather than weight loss purposes. Some of the benefits you can get from these longer fasts would be resetting your hunger signals, giving your digestive system a break, and also opening up more time for some important things in your life where prepping and eating your meals is just sort of a nuisance. Lots of people report that they have a really high level of mental acuity during the second, third, and fourth day of a fast, which just helps them to concentrate more and get things done. Now, the one challenge that you're going to run into with this method as a fitness enthusiast would be how you're going to be able to work out with these longer fasts. I wouldn't suggest you work out super hard the first time you try one of these prolonged fasts. Instead, if you are going to work out, I would reduce your volume and intensity to say 60% and then increase it from there based on how you feel. And just make sure that you're continuing to supplement with minerals and electrolytes and that you are keeping your hydration levels high. That way you don't fall into any unnecessary health problems. Alright guys, so it's easy to see why intermittent fasting has become so popular these days. From having an easier time losing weight to having more energy and more mental clarity, there are a lot of benefits that you might be able to get from fasting. Most people are going to go with the traditional method of intermittent fasting, but it's good to know that there are a couple other options out there if that doesn't work for you. And of course, you should always consult a doctor or a registered dietitian before you start any new diet program. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.